Hi guys, Scott Wood with you to talk about the famous St George Dragons team in the NRL in 2013. And look, my father, only last month, who follows the Dragons, asked me how I thought they would go this year. And I told him not to give up hope. Look, I know they've lost, they've lost Wayne Bennett and they've lost a lot of well-known players. But there's a scenario, if the new coach who had his first year last year, Steve Smith, gets it right, I think there's a scenario where the Dragons can go a lot better than what a lot of people think they'll go, including my dad. And look, I'll tell you what I told him. Look, firstly, the coach, Steve Price, he came into St George last year in his first year after being understudy to Wayne Bennett. Now, people who I know that have known Steve Price for a long while, they all tell me that he's a gun coach and he's got plenty of idea. Now, we never saw that last year, and I think he made a lot of mistakes. And I expect to see a lot smarter coach this year after his first year. 24 games for 11 wins, 46% strike rate. St George supporters demand a lot better than that, and they generally get it. And look, I think there's a light in the tunnel, and I'm going to talk about who I think will be the starting 13 and some of the ins and some of the outs. And you talk about some of the outs, and normally you'd say, oh, well, look, they've lost Bo Scott, they've lost Dean Young, and they've lost the captain, Ben Hornby. And you go, well, that's a massive problem. And look, to be quite honest, I think some of them are an advantage to them. I think Ben Hornby's experience at halfback was vital, and I do think he's a genuine loss, although he was past his best. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not sure if they have a better replacement. But I can assure you that the loss of Bo Scott and Dean Young, I don't think they're a loss. Dean Young probably shouldn't have played last year. He was broken down and he was overplayed last year because his dad is a senior official in the club, had a lot of pull there. He took up a lot of the salary cap, but he really shouldn't have been there. And Dean Young's going to be replaced by a very fit guy, and guys like Matt Pryor, the promising Jack de Belin, and the highly promising and big pickup Tyson Frizzle. These are like forwards that are going places and are going to do good things for St George. And they're going to come on and be fit and play good minutes and do good things at that lock forward position. That's something that Dean Young wasn't able to do last year. And look, I know a lot of people are fans of Bo Scott, and I talked a bit about him for the Newcastle side. And look, I know he's a tough guy and he's a very, very good defender, but he's not that big and he's not the blockbusting back rower that you want to have. Now, he's been replaced by Bronson Harrison. Now, Bronson Harrison is a New Zealand international, and he had some injuries last year, and the Dragons have picked him up. Now, if Bronson Harrison can come back to anywhere near his best form, that's going to be a massive thing for this forward pack for St George. So what I'm saying is, I think with Bo Scott out and Dean Young out, and Bronson Harrison coming in, and St George having three very good lock forwards, and two of them being very young, as in de Belin and Frizzle, I think there's a lot of upside for the St George Dragons. May not see it this year, but I think they've recruited very well in that area, and I think they'll do a lot better in that area than what they did last year. I have no doubt they will, in fact. But look, let's talk about the starting 13 that I think will be the 13. The coach may have a different view on it. I just want to remind you again to don't forget the download for the Rugby League ebook on the link below. I think you'll love it, and also the AFL ebook. They're free. Mad if you don't get them. Jared Beale is one of the big recruits in the off-season from the Broncos. I'm not quite sure how much they paid for him, and I think he's quite a good player. I'm not sure if quite a good player is enough when you're playing probably the second most important position on the field as fullback. There's no question in my mind that the best fullback is Brett Morris, but he's also the best left wing in the world, and I think the team loses a lot when he's not on the wing. So providing they can replace him with a good fullback, I think that's okay. They weren't able to do that last year. I don't know if Jared Beale is the answer. We'll find out. He certainly probably deserves the opportunity to start. But hot on his heels is a couple of really promising young guns for the Dragons, Evander Cummings and Kane Brennan. Both those players carved them up in the under-20s last year, and both guys promise to have really big futures, and I can't wait to see them play first grade. And Jared Beale won't want to do too many things wrong for these two guys to be tapping them on the shoulder and getting a run. So looking forward to seeing what transpires in that number 1 position. It's going to be crucial for the club, there's no doubt about that, and a big decision by the coach. We've talked about Brett Morris, not a better left winger in the world than him. He's just an absolute dynamic player. On the other wing is Jason Nottingale. He played a bit of fullback last year. He should be back on the right wing. That's his rightful position, and he's an international in that position, and that gives St. George 2 international wingers, and it's an outstanding combination. So he would definitely be my right winger. I think the coach stuffed up badly last year. Put a lot of his eggs in the Daniel Vito basket and played him on both wings. And if he had watched a lot of his games in Canberra before he came to the Dragons, he would have known that he's got no idea in the fence, and he's absolutely hopeless with a bomb, has got butterfingers, just cannot catch a ball. And he was found out when he filled in for Brett Morris at left wing, and when he filled in for Jason Nightingale at the right wing. So look, I don't know what the coach is going to do with Vito. He may try him in his troubled right centre position. I would think Chase Stanley would grab that position, given that his brother Kyle has been injured and probably is not going to play for the year. You would think Chase would get first crack at that position. Other guys in contention, I've mentioned Vito, Nathan Green, who went terrific in the under-20s, looks a colossus in the under-20s, but I've never seen him transfer that sort of quality talent when he's played first grade. I know it's a big step up, but he just seems to be a completely different player when he gets into the big time. But he's certainly a talent in the under-20s, there's no doubt about that. Charlie Rinseman is another guy who is a talented centre that the Dragons can call on if they have some injury problems. Matt Cooper, the very classy Matt Cooper, you know what you get from him. Outstanding defender and always looks dangerous in attack. And he's timed his career to perfection and doesn't play rep these days. And he knows how many minutes he's got in his body and how many games he's got in his body. And he'll turn out again. And his combination with Brett Morris on that left side is just absolutely dynamic. And when you get guys like Ben Crayat coming in to join him, those 3 guys are just sensational. And I'm sure the same thing will happen again this season. Let's look at the 6 and the 7. Jamie Sarrett will be the number 6, and he's one of the best long and short tactical kickers in the competition, and he certainly is a guy that continues to give the Dragons very good field position. And one of the things that he does for them, he gets them in very good field position. But the problem with the Dragons is that historically they've had trouble getting over the line. They've only been averaging under 17 points per game, which is not enough. You really need to get to around that 22 figure, which is one of the reasons why the Dragons didn't do well last year. They're not scoring enough points. They can certainly get in position to score the points, but they can't get over the line. One of their problems has got nothing to do with their players. It's got to do with where they play. No team has got a better home ground record than the Dragons at both their home grounds, but they've also got the worst away ground. The Dragons, I think, only won 2 games on the road last year, and that's just not good enough. That just tells you that they don't travel and they don't settle in. It's all very well to win your home games, but you've got to win some away as well. Winning 2 out of 11, I think, was their stat, is just disgraceful. That's something that the coach needs to work on and get them travelling better. And I'm sure he will address that. Jamie Soward, look, I'm a Jamie Soward fan, I have to say. I don't think he's a State of Origin class 5'8", but I think he's been wonderful for the Dragons. I'd like to see him run more, but his kicking game is fantastic, and certainly when he's not in the side, they don't know what's going on, and he's very, very important. I'd like to see him not only retain him, but sign him up forever, because they haven't got anybody that does what he does. Now, the trick there is to try and get a number 7 to combine with him and get him good early ball, so he can use some of that early speed and get his tactical kicks in good positions. Now, Nathan Fien, I'm assuming will get first crack at halfback. Now, I don't think the Dragons are going to win the grand final with Nathan Fien at halfback. The Nathan Fien, Jamie Soward 6 and 7 combination doesn't do it for me. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he probably deserves to start. He's an international, very experienced guy. Okay, let him start. I think the Dragons need to find that number 7 now. I don't know if that's Josh Drinkwater, Adam Quinlan, Todd Ryan, one of those young guys that they've got. They've got a few guys coming through, They need one of those guys to put their hand up and say, hey, I want to be number 7 and I want to combine with Jamie Soward. So that's going to be the trick for the coach there. If they're going to hang on and make it Nathan Thune all year, I think the Dragons are going to struggle. I'm sure he'll do some good things one week, but he won't consistently do it every week, and he's not the guy, he's not your go-to man that you want. And I think having him at 7 will put pressure on Soward, and I think that's a big problem for the Dragons. Soward needs to get good quality early ball so he can get that tactical kick in, or he can make a break himself. Let's have a look at the forward pack, and let me say, any team that can put Trent Merrin on the bench has got a good forward pack, and that's the way we've got it with St. George. Trent Merrin is probably in the top 5 or 6 prop forwards in the world, in my opinion, and he's on the bench. I'm sure he'll be starting on the bench, and I'm not quite sure why that's the case, but that's what happened last year. I think they'll start with Michael Wayman, and if you like, he's another in for the Dragons. As soon as he got injured last year, Michael Wayman, the Dragons went backwards. He's very, very important to them. He's a massive presence on the field, and he gives them excellent go forward, and he's got a very good offload. And so Michael Wayman will be one of the props, and I think the coach's favourite, Dan Hunt, will be the other starting prop. And then Trent Merrin will come on after that. The Dragons have found an outstanding young hooker in Mitchell Rain. He was fantastic when he came on last year. He's got skills that I didn't know he had. And let me say, their other guy, Cameron King, is not far behind him. In Rain and King, I think the Dragons have got 2 of the best 2 hookers in the competition, and I think that's a really important factor for them. So, you know, they really just need to get their one right and get a halves partner for Soward, and they've got a terrific 9, and their spine will look okay. We know they've got good strike power in their back line, and we know that their forwards are great, and I think they're going to be a much better forward pack than what they had last year. We talked about Wayman really being an in for them. Bronson Harrison is a really big in. That's a fantastic in, and he'll combine with Ben Crayer, the captain who plays State of Origin, and we know how potent he is on the left side there. So Bronson Harrison will come down the right side, and I think locking the bench, they'll probably go with the experience of Matt Pryor to start off with, and then somebody to make an impact. Jack DeBellin did a great job last year, and he's very promising. I'd like to see his progress under the coach, and he would probably be the other guy. But the guy who I think is going to be the lock forward for the Dragons in years to come is Tyson Frizzle. What I saw when he come on for the Sharks last year was something of a very, very promising kid. And don't forget, he has played in the World Cup, Tyson Frizzle. And I stand corrected, but I think it might have been for Ireland or France. I'm not quite sure. But he has rep experience, let me say. So look, I think the Dragons are in really good shape in the forward pack. And some of the guys to come off the bench, we've talked about Trent Merrin. There's no better prop forward in the world to come off the bench than Trent Merrin. Listen, Mao made a good impact when he came on last year. He'll certainly be another guy. Atella Vaya will be another guy who can do some good things. Will Matthews, Jake Stockwell, Michael Henderson, Kemu Saru, and of course Michael Greenfield. These are all quality players, and so the Dragons have got a little bit of depth there. So it's just a matter of the coach getting the key spine position right, and I think you'll find that the Dragons will do a lot better than a lot of people think. If they happen to strike up a good 6 and 7 combination, and they happen to get the fullback right, I think they have an outstanding chance of playing semi-final football. And but importantly, it's a side that I think are going places in years to come. And I know they won a grand final only a couple of seasons back, but it's a new look side now and a new look coach. And to me, it's all guns forward for the Dragons. I expect them to have a good season. Good luck. Cheers.